I'm going to do this pre-stock round or pre-game round pretty much quietly. I grabbed the first guy, and I'm randomizing somewhat. So what I did was actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6. I even it all out. But I'm going to be making these kind of random decisions based on a combination. You know, I'm randomizing it because I don't trust my own judgment here, and I'll end up group thinking if I do that. So, you know, had it been up to me, I would just pick this. This has the best payoff and is very powerful, you know, late in the game and whatever. But this guy just decided, hey, screw it. I'm going to go for a little one. I'm interested in being able to do something extra with a little guy, and we'll just see how they play out. But again, I suspect what would happen is the actual choices would go by what the proportional payout is. That's what I would be thinking. But I don't want to do that long. Important thing to take into mind is somebody drops below like $100, they can't start a company. And I again suspect that actually starting companies is better than holding a fistful of privates. Can't be sure, and again, I'll do some randomization to temper my own opinions. But generally, I think that it seems to me that you actually want to run a company and start building it up, building its stock value up and everything. But privates tend to be of value in an XX game. I'm making the assumption that they are here. Okay. Everybody stopped at 100 or more bucks, except for this guy. He's the guy who bought one of these. He decided to buy 2 of the big ones because he could. Now, he has enough cash he could buy another big one. They're going to pull in a decent amount of money. What I want to be able to do is start a company on the second on the second stock round. I'm not going to be able to do it this one because I spent too much. So, right now, I get 25 bucks. I need to have 100. That means I have 15 plus maybe a little bit more left. It doesn't look to me like I have enough money to buy any of these outright. So I'm going to pass. Everyone else has already passed. And now we assign these to the person with the least money first. Well, that's him. He's not going to be able to do anything with that little amount of money. Jesus, this guy's got a pile of cash. 210. What the hell? I guess he's going to get 3 shares at 70. Again, high variability there. It'll be that. 100 bucks over there will be player 2. And looks like we got 3 and 4 set as well. Okay. And now it's time to start analyzing, hey, what companies are worth buying. Now this guy can buy himself a share of something, but as is usual in an 18xx game, it doesn't make sense to buy a share of something in the first round. So he's going to have a pile of his cash that's just not working for him. He would have been better off buying that first one and just getting more, you know. I don't know why he made the choices he did, but the dice, man. So this guy's got the first option on purchases. He's got a little one, which means whatever little company he makes, he could count on either getting one of these upgrades or reducing the cost of a river by a little bit, which doesn't seem like a great idea. The map a little hard to read. Just the fonts being used, etc., to find the Ys. They're not jumping out the way they would. Ys are valuable because they're a little bit more valuable towns behind them. But likewise, Praha turns into a slightly more valuable location and probably becomes the center of the game. We'll see. I could study the values more to make sure of that. But Let's take a look at what it looks like. We're not going to be sure. 40 for, that stays a Y. 60, brown gets better than a Y, and 80, gray is better than one of those expenditure things. So yeah, Prague becomes very valuable eventually. This guy has enough money to start a company at 50 bucks a share, which is not optimal, but whatever. I think there's only one little company that starts on a Y space, and that's this OFE here, and that gets me hooked up here. The OOs, how are they? They're as good as Ys, so a little later that's going to be very valuable. It puts me far from where I'd like to be. Other option would be starting here, maybe VBW. That's near a Y. This is kind of far away. I don't know if it's available either. This is kind of far away, although I could hook that up pretty quickly. So yeah, I think this may be more. Basically, I'm looking at these two, so I'll roll a die between them. All right, we're gonna go with the green one. And there's our first purchase, and we only have $200 in there. I hope that's plenty for a train. They're only 70 to begin with. May have some trouble starting so low, but you know, we'll see. Those initial company picks are kind of being painful here. Let's see. The fourth player picked this EKJ here, which is not really that close in a good position to take advantage of the Ys. That's putting me to the fourth player to start a company who held enough money to buy 3 shares. Really regretting that, because it's all that extra cash which put me in that position, and I could have easily spent some of that money you know, on another private. But it's a live and learn situation, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have trouble with, you know, with enough room for all the charters that are going to come out in this game. I hope I don't have to move upstairs. Might be able to squeeze another table in or something. One thing that I know, and I hate to bring this shit in, but I always bring what's in my life into these. You know, I look at this map, and there's something pretty about it, which is part of why it's harder to read. And, you know, I'm just thinking how much I miss being able to bring someone with some artistic sensibility up to show them this, you know. I almost always brought my wife in to see what I was playing, especially here. Up in the loft, I couldn't do it. She was afraid to climb up there, and it just wasn't an appealing thing. It is one of the reasons I liked playing in here, actually, so I could show her the games, because we stopped playing them. Now, player one, once again, I don't want to buy a share of something, because I do that even though I have the cash to buy something. That'll put me in a position where stock values will have gone down, and I want to start a company, I think, next turn, and I don't want to lose value off of the cash I have. Every other player should have eaten up their money. What did I do here? Yeah. Used up everything. Just wanted to make sure that he was exactly even. Every other player until we get to player 5 has used up all their money. For player 5, here's the question. Do I want to spend $70 or less buying one of these companies, buying a share of something. I don't know. So he's going to have 20, 30 bucks. He's not going to be able to buy anything next time. It doesn't matter what order you buy things in. It just matters how much cash you have left over. This guy's going to have 30 bucks. No, 35. This guy's going to have enough money, but he's going to start his own company. So I think I'm just going to hold my cash. I see no reason to make my choice as to which company I want to put my cash into, as it were. And as a matter of fact, I'll be close to being able to buy 2 shares, actually, with all that cash sitting there. We'll see. Right then. So that was the stock round. I'll be going into the operating round, and I think that's it for tonight. But I have to reorganize things. Nothing's sold out. Who has the most cash on hand? 50, 60, 70, 75, 85, 90. So he is first. Second goes here. Everyone else is out of money, which means they retain their relative position, and 5 goes all the way to there. And we'll be able to lay some track. Normally I would do this right away, but honestly, I'm kind of tired. And I have an exciting day tomorrow to go see someone. On to the operating round. All the privates pay out as usual. Let me throw some money at people. It's kind of hard because I think once this clears up, I might have enough space for a while to have my coins, my chips up there. But things are a little tight still. Hey, I could throw them in there if I move this for a while at least. Everybody's got a fairly big pocket of money coming in from these, which means they may end up being a major source of regular income inside the corporate treasuries once they start getting sold over. Right now they're actually kind of nice in terms of what they boot over. So here I have 145. That means I'll be able to start a 70 company a turn late, but look at all the stuff I got. You think it would have been a real mistake though to only rely on these suckers? Like, let's see, I spent 45, or I got 45 there. That means 55, 65. I had 85 bucks left. If we look over here, that would have been enough to buy really just another 20. That would have left me with 5 bucks. So I would have been at 20, 40, 65, 70 bucks. Then I could buy a share with some of that money, and probably, you know, fairly soon, like 3rd or 4th operating round, leverage a company. But yay, these games generally you want to get a company running fairly early. You want control of one. It's not always the case. I mean, even in 1830, being an investor is kind of cool. So I don't know. we'll see what kind of early money they make. From what I've heard about this one, this is a build a good company. So I've got these guys not just stacked, but kind of sliding down. I think that's sort of the intention of this design of track. We'll see how that works for me. So my first company is the EKG, which starts over here. Now I'm allowed to lay 2 tracks. What I'd like to get to is down here because I can't build this right away. So I'll lay a straight track. Will I be able to deal? Probably not. A straight track here. Next turn I can lay this no matter what. No worries there. So I will put the wide curve and make the offer of an easy connection. We'll see if he takes it. If he doesn't, we got some issues, but okay. And then, of course, I'm not going to run a train. Yay. There's one counter that's dark on the back for each company. So you got to kind of select that. And now I got to buy me a choo-choo. Now, I actually have room maybe to run 2 trains. How many of these deuces are there? I think there are 4 of them. I think that's what it's saying. 2, 3. No. No, that's not what it's saying. I don't know what that red 4 is for. Oh, that's the type of train it is. Okay, but there are more of them here, so I'm just going to buy one of these for 70. It's possible I could connect up to 2 companies to begin with, but this is also a 4 train, isn't it? No, it dies when the 4s come. That's what it's saying. Do I want to buy 2 of these then? Let's look at the train chart. Unfortunately, that little cheat sheet does not help me very much. I'm allowed only 3 trains total. When does the 3 come into play? 3 comes into play there. It's going to be $120. I don't know. Oh! This isn't a player. Okay, I can only buy 1. Or I only need to buy 1. What am I thinking? Good enough. Okay. And I'll do similar startups with all the other companies and come back with a report. And we've got little starts everywhere. This becomes sort of the challenging space. This guy can hook it up. He has a longer route going there. I could have come just as close, but I'd still get beaten out. So I built this because I know I need this, and maybe I can't connect that right away. This guy has an expensive route. He's paid 20 so far. He's going to have to pay another 10 to get there, another 10 to upgrade Praha. But I'm looking at that as worth something, and I don't have to flip the counters every time because they are distinguishable on the back as both the company and different from each other. So I could just leave them there. I think. We'll see. And now we're on a stock round with priority over here, and we've actually got the numbers going exactly how they should. How about that? Gotta find a company for this guy, though. Of course, I forgot the train export. I don't know if Monty is the one who started train exports, but he definitely liked these releases. Definitely, almost all have the train exports in them. This is one of those, I'm not sure how I feel about the design concept, right? It does something. It solves a problem that happens in 18xx games, which is that players don't necessarily want to move the trains, and it makes sure the game moves along well. I think it actually works very well in the fixed number of operating rounds that this and 1880 have. Another one of his designs. But, geez, when it's put in some of the other designs, I feel like it's limiting players' capability to control the game as much. The train rush is an important part of an 18xx game. I don't usually manipulate the train rush to a large extent. Like, you know, as a player, I might be saying, I want more trains to come out now, and I play that up. And I think that's still available. It's the much, much broader one. I want to cause the trains to stop here feeling. That can be very useful, and there are certain designs that are actually set up to make that happen. Some of them are games that I really don't like that they happen, but it feels to me like you know, a few less trains, and the game would be more balanced, where somebody has the option of whether or not to buy that important train to get you over the hump. Well, you start throwing in train exporting in it, and you no longer have that tool. There are other tools you have in its place, but it feels like something's been limited. All right. There's not a lot of option. Just one company is available now. Whoops. This is because the B trains did not come out. Nobody bought a second train. Enough money for a share. This guy started the company that he was left with over here. Not the greatest of locations by any means, but I can actually run 2 trains right off the bat, which might make it more appealing than it looks, especially if it had started around earlier. And this guy had enough money, he bought another share of his own company. I think this thing is going to rock the most money, although actually this might end up being more impressive than, you know, everybody kind of predicted. Its longer term prospects are less valuable though, so whatever. And yeah, so now he has 75% of his own company. The problem is this thing's going to run short on capital, and it's going to need to swallow at some point. But it's only spending $10 per space. That's not that bad, right? Okay. And that puts us into the operating round here. Now these are each worth 45. That's the maximum that you could pull out of one of your corporations for selling the private. The B trains are available to be purchased. We're going to start seeing them happen. I got to be careful, and this track kind of doesn't, well, it kind of does express it. So it's not for a share, which it expresses. It's a $40 run that I've got here. But now I've got to pay attention. I have 50% of that $40. So I get 20 of it. One thing that I'm noticing with this, at least at the beginning, it seems to be a very, very fast pace of a game. Maybe because you don't have to buy 50%, you know, you don't have to buy 4 certificates to get companies started. Everybody just slaps their money down. One I played very recently, I don't remember what it is, not the Mars one, if I'm correct, but the other one I played recently, I don't know. I mean, the other one, I played 1817 recently, but it was a different one. Maybe it was. Allowed you to scoop up a bunch of shares at once, just to get rid of that sort of going around the table on that first operating round type stuff. When you start a company, maybe it was the Mars one, you can buy more than one certificate at the same time. And it may have been, it was one where you could buy 2 certificates each stock round, I think. But you could also release some, and just it had to be the Mars one. It had to be. Those are the kind of ideas that I think are Mr. Jones's specialty. Okay. Now, I have the immediate question, do I want to make a little bit more money off this? That would require another dot, and I think the answer is no. So I paid out, I flipped my marker over, and I think I'm all good. The big worry that I threw money into here when I bought this share. Let me calculate out what that should be, because that's a big stack of greens there that I don't think should be there. This started, unfortunately I don't have a par there, but it started at 50. So it should have had 200 bucks on it, right? Yeah. 200 bucks to begin with, and I spent 70. Maybe I did these as reds or something. 200 bucks minus 70 should be only 130 left. What do I got here? Got 125 extra bucks. Why? Oh no, this started at 70. So 70 times 4 would be 280. So I should have maybe this much. 70 times 4, right, is 280 minus 70 should be 210. Something's wrong. I don't know where all this cash is coming from. That would be 210, but I also spent 20 bucks of that here, so I don't know. I should have like 90 bucks in here. 75, 85, 90. I'm wondering. I'm also wondering if I spent 65 a share or 70 a share on this company. Should have been 65, but that's going to be hard to discern, isn't it? Oh boy. Yeah, I think I just dumped the money in there. Let's see what he had. He started. Yeah, I hate when I make an error, and this is the only time of the game you can catch it. So I had 250 to begin with. I bought 2 shares at 70. I don't know what I paid on this. Yeah, fuck it. I'll leave it as it is. Company buys the first of the B trains, of course. It actually buys 2 of them because I think he's going to hook me up and I'm going to hook to here. I might be wrong, but it's not that terrible. And what changes with this? Well, we go into the level 2 companies are available, and I believe the green trains are not. They don't show up until the D? Is that right? That's what that says. This is a different... Yeah, everything seems to say that. Let's go to the... Let's find the phase changes, and let's hope that there's not, a different set of rules somewhere here. Phase B. Yeah, it's not until phase D that the greens come available. That's a shame. I thought I was going to be able to hook into these ooh-oohs sometime soon. But okay. Interesting choice with this guy. I laid this track. I'm not sure I want to do that. Because I only bought 1 train, I don't necessarily want to hook this up. Gotta keep checking for those Y's because they really sneak in there. The font and everything, I'm sorry, the face is a little weird for me. So I probably don't want to hook him up as beautifully as I possibly can and want to head more for here on my long-term track. It looks like I'm going to be running 2 trains, but if I draw straight down, I've got room for a 1-2 and a 1-2-3 train, which is kind of interesting. The problem is I'd have to buy 2 trains. Oh no, I'd have to buy 3 trains. Okay, so there's no 3 train available to me anytime in the near future. So I am going to continue with this track that is more denying the connectivity. This, we've gone through a phase change when he bought this. I believe you're allowed to buy private companies at any time. Let me think about whether he wants to buy both of these. So EKG bought the first B. No, this guy bought the first B. So he has the first option to do so. So let's think about whether or not he wanted to do that. No, not that guy, right? That guy. Where am I then? Oh, he's flipped over. He's not. Okay. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble here. So I could get personal cash. That's the main reason. Enough maybe to start a level 2 company. Current price of all miners, no matter how big and no matter how much I paid for them, is 45 bucks. I could throw 90 bucks into my personal treasury. That would get me to 140. I could start another company with that. Do I want to? That puts a lot of power in the M&W. Actually, no. I've got this little piece of shit too, which is even more appealing. That puts a lot of power into that company. But gets me some cash right up front. It's impossible to take this company. Ooh, 90 is not enough anymore. Or wait. So that 90 bucks that I could throw in, and I could bring that to 135, but I don't have that. So I could give myself 120 with all three. 120 would put me to 170, but here's the problem. I need a larger share percentage here. I need to go to 3 shares. So at 170, 3 shares, I couldn't even buy the cheapest. So I don't want to dump any of those yet unless I have some real reason that I need one of those or I need that extra 10 bucks. So he's good. The next company is the pink one, and I just did them, I think. I haven't run them yet. Okay. So I just set up my track for that, and the run will be slightly bigger than everyone else. Oh boy, I'm having trouble grabbing these. That'll be a 5 a share run, which I of course pay out. Or I'm sorry, that'll be a 50 buck run. Let's think correctly here, which gets me 25 a share, or 25 for my half of the company. It's really hard to be precise when the terms start changing from what I'm used to. Okay, so now I could put up to that 135 in, 145, 195, 220. 220, I could start a company at 70. This would be appealing. Why don't we do that? There's only one operating round. Why don't we do that? Well, maybe we don't do that because we need to buy another train. Because that's a higher priority, I think. So 70 bucks for that other train. Let's pay that first. Because I want to make decent money with my choo-choos. Okay. All right. Don't need a dot. So now, what were we talking about? We were talking about 3 of these. That's more than the 100 bucks I have. Screw that, man. Obviously, I could swallow, but not yet. Okay, I understand the cheat sheet now. I'm running into other problems. This is the number of trains for each size at that letter. This is the scrap when that particular, what it might scrap if you buy the right type. So like the 4 scraps this. The 4 is a type of E-train, I assume. But there are 4s available elsewhere. The type of company you can start and the type of track that there is. What's not here is some of the information that is valuable to me, like how many of them there are. It looks like a big complicated chart, and I felt like there was more information. The price of the trains. That can't all be expressed as easily. So that's there. What I did see... Oh, this is Moravia Silesia rules. Okay, ignore this. God, and the Bohemia rules. But what I was seeing was something about Train special abilities. Okay, so that's what I saw, and I'm like, that doesn't apply. It's under the Moravia Silesia rules, which we're not playing with. So I told you the right rules for this scenario. I was seeing this 4+4 and 5+5 trains, which are medium trains, right? I think. Yeah. Yeah, the blue is the medium. And I didn't understand, why do they get the red bonus? I thought the red bonus went to only the company that owns it. Yeah, I think this doesn't have the big corporations in it, and that's why. I didn't read any of the rules for the other scenarios. So right now I'm on decisions at the end of this guy. He doesn't want to buy a train, but maybe he wants to buy stuff. So I don't have money for another train if I buy stuff, but I do have enough to get that 135, 145, 155, 205, 230 bucks. I need to get 3 shares at 230. That would put me at 70. This company down here, this was really appealing to the guy who was looking at it, I think this guy. But is anything really appealing to this guy? Well, maybe hooking that up, but not so much. Gosh. I'm not seeing any companies sitting out there that I really, really want to buy. And I would really be wrecking this company if I took all that money. I also don't have enough, do I? I have 130. That's enough. Jeez. I have enough money to buy another share, but I could certainly get the jump with one of these companies. And what is available? Unfortunately, okay, everything's available except the red tiles. What I was going to say is, unfortunately, it's not really distinguishable which are the smalls and which are the mediums. But it is distinguishable which are the larges, and all the smalls are out. So I could be anything I want it to be. Which means all this track that this butthead's building is open to me. And that's kind of interesting. I could buy this, which could help me hook up. That's interesting. Nothing else looks intriguing to me. But you know what? Nobody else has done it. Let's do it. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So I've got 75, 85, 95 bucks. We were looking at 210. That means I need 115. That's 125, that's 115. I want to keep as much money on here as I can for dots and whatnot. I buy all 3 of these miners onto here, or of these privates onto here. And you can see it's getting cluttered. That makes this a much, much weaker company. But now I have 210 bucks, enough to buy myself 3 shares of a level 2 company. And I think we're set. And I think that's going to do me some good. I don't know. Test stuff out. Okay, choo-choo brakes. That's the last of the B trains going. Okay. And then we hit the next stock round. Okay, things are getting a little painful at this point because the game is starting to show, you know, some of its special rules. That's why I'm chunking around. And also I'm being challenged with things that I'm not really used to. Okay, let me swap batteries, maybe, I don't know. To a new company floating, we have people picking up additional shares in other people's companies now, and we actually have some sellouts. I've finished the stock round. Let me just identify those. So the MW and the VBW. The VBW, because of its lousy low price, is all sold out, and that goes up like this. And the MWY, well, because he started the rush on it by buying someone else's share in order to be able to sell it more effectively, but somebody else picked it up as well, this guy, and you know, because it's going to make more because it is sold out. So that ends up being an advantage for the person who held it. Now, had he bought his own share, he wouldn't be able to dispose of it as easily without hurting himself, but he probably would have triggered that same situation. So it's kind of a, gosh, which way do you want to go? Nobody bought this up. He's kind of regretting his purchase of that because obviously the companies with 2 trains are going to make more. We have this thing floating. It started at 70. I probably have the wrong amount of money in there. Let's see. It has 5 shares, yeah. Yeah, 20% shares. So it has 350 as its starting capital, and now you can see the charters are larger. I gotta answer that. To it in time. I have no voicemail. I try not to answer the phone, but nowadays there might be things that are important that I need to get. Because life has gotten more complicated. So, yeah, you know, one thing that I noticed was that XX was completely clearing my mind of all the bullshit that, you know, I have to deal with. The perfect way of drowning. Better than video games even, which, you know, even the very immersive ones. And I assume that Polis would have done the same if I could really latch onto it. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. You know, I was talking about this and the money that was in there, and maybe I got to the end of my thought. Oh yeah, we gotta exchange the number markers. So who has lots of money? Lots of money now is defined as $25. Wow. One thing, it turned out to be a mistake to put this here. I forgot these were here. And the payoffs are maybe better from the privates still. Oops. That's a serious problem. Like, I was wondering, gee, when will I have enough space on my table to hold stuff? Why is that? Oh, fuck, there's those. I'm going to leave things as they are, but damn, you know, no company is making $10 a round off its actual runs. Are they? Well, that's hard to say. So let's take a look at these guys who were making 50, who were priced at 50. Just as an example. That's the VBW. That is making $50. A quarter of $50 is 13. So actually we are making those, and then add to that any stock value you're increasing, and you're looking at $5 or $10 of increase for the most part. Stocks are worth more than the privates. There may come a time when those privates are worthwhile again. Now let's take a look at this. $20 for an 80 share versus these 70s, which are making about the same, you know. So those are making around that 13, but again, they're making another $10 in this. So I don't think I'm making a terrible decision on this, and I may move that board somewhere else because it kind of isn't really worth it now. The stocks have actually surpassed, now that they're operating, right? Once they get to the $4 per or $40 position, they're making $10 a share for those little companies, plus whatever they make in terms of stock value. So they're not much worse than the current prices on these privates. The advantage with privates, though, is they can be turned in. So there's a few things. First of all, this one is now actually a $5 gain. You buy that one, and starting next operating round, it's worth 50. So you make $5 off of it right away. But also, there's special abilities. If those start coming into play and being valuable, then it becomes more important for people to buy these. So we'll keep that in mind. I don't think I've done too much harm by not buying additional ones. And I feel like about the right number were sold initially. I think certainly more than that would have been problematic. Less than that might have been too. This guy who bought a whole flood of them is doing okay, I think. Right, the EKG opens things off. The EKJ opens things off. Building track, it almost had 2 train capabilities, so I buy another train. How much money do I have available to buy shit from here? These are worth up to 50 each, so I could dump all my money in. He's got 50, 60, 70. I could go up to 120. Or I could go up to 145, 150, 160. 150 would put me at $50, which is too low for a blue, which are the only ones that are available. I don't think I'm gonna dump my privates in yet. So far, we're not at a point where these can be played yet anyway. The Ds have to come out for that. This guy, he just ran his BCB. I'm not upgrading this because somebody just bought the connector. It's his job, man. Especially since greens aren't out. He could upgrade this. That's fine too, whatever. But we ran out our normal. We took our cash. The question is, do I want to grab $50 for this? Well, let's think about what the VBW is going to make. The VBW is running at about 5. It's got a single deuce on it. It's probably not going to improve that until next turn if this thing can buy it some trains. Let's look down here. Yeah, it's not going to go up to green this time. So I'm looking at 25% of 50. I'm looking at 13 more bucks. 25, 35, 45, 58. I would have enough money to buy another share of this. However, I think getting the cash into my pocket may make sense at this point. Granted, I don't need this particularly here. Oh, I'm not allowed. Oh shit, I fucking cheated. Son of a bitch. I bought these to fund this. These guys can't go into there. God damn it. Alright. I don't know what the fuck to do. I can't unwind this. But that is an unreasonable start to the game. I think I have to call the game at this point and start over. This is why I like to play a game to begin with. But yeah, I think I have to restart this sucker because I can't unwind this. Even though it wasn't that long ago, it's long enough that it's not going to be too easy. So we'll load this up as a failed start and chalk it up to a learning game, and I'll set this back up because I'm intrigued by what it does. The problem is it's got, these little hitches that are easy to fuck up. So like this capability to create a lot of money, it wasn't there. You know, it's funny, nobody else did anything wrong. It wasn't until I noticed, hey, this is not one of the tiny ones, I can't put it in there. So there's a big deal. You can't convert your bigger, more valuable privates into cash very quickly. Big learning aspect. All right, let's send this up and see what the hell a restart gets us. Damn it, I thought I was doing so well.